Well, happy Saturday night, guys. And this is going to be kind of an unusual video, and probably not, I'm going to say right off the bat, is not going to be for all of my subscribers. Majority of my subscribers, you're not going to be interested in this video, but I'm making this for a handful of people over at Sutton's Days Friends. You guys know who you are. We were chit-chatting, I don't know, it was a few days ago, about binding books and making them into spiral books. And this is something that you can either do yourself, or there are plenty of places like Office Depot, I think Office Max, and I think even Staples. They will bind a book for you. I think it runs between, I think for on average like $5 to $7, I'm pretty sure. But don't quote me. I know Mandy over at More to Life had several of her books done, and that's what inspired me to want to do mine. But when I started looking into it, there were so many books that I wanted to do, including, and most importantly, home curriculum books that I want to do for the kids. The more I, looked into it, the more I realized I just wanted to get a binder machine. So I have one. I've had it for a little while now, and I love it. I'm addicted to it. Every chance I have, I've been binding my books. And we were talking about it over at Sutton's Days Friends, and several of you were interested. Several of you have been looking at binder machines, but honestly, there's really not many videos on YouTube. And so when I was learning how to take books apart, I actually had to find a guy who took his books apart to put them on microfiche. Then I watched, I think there was 2 binder videos that showed the machine that I was interested in, but they didn't show how they bound the books. So I kind of had to watch like different categories of YouTube to kind of piece it all together to figure out how I was going to do this, how I was going to go about doing this. And now that I have my system down and perfected and it's working really well for me, I figured I would make a video and show you, the handful of you that are interested in this, because some of you were on the fence of what machine to get, and I will show you which one I ended up choosing and why. But I figured I would show you the whole process of taking, if you have a canning book, a cooking book. I'm doing all of my canning, all of my cooking, all of my dehydrating books, anything that's soft like this and that could serve having a spiral. Now, usually when you're canning, and Mina's coloring next to me, usually when you're canning, you have to open up your book like this. Sometimes I've got to set, my phone or something like that on it so that the page stays. Having this spiraled and being able to flip and turn to the page and having it not flop around is just, it's going to be a game changer. It's already a game changer because I've already done quite a few of my own books. So I am going to set this camera down. I'm going to set it up. I'm going to show you now. Tonight I'm going to be doing my Bald Blue book, one of my older ones, but I love this book. And I also have a Bernardin book, and this was gifted to me by Mandy. So these are the 2 that I'm going to do tonight. Some of the tools that I'm going to be using, I'm going to be using this. This is a paper cutter. This is a Fiskars. I got this on Amazon. I will try to leave links. Now, I've had this for a while because I bought this when I first started homeschooling. And I've been homeschooling for 3.5 years now. So I will look on Amazon to see if they still have this model. If not, I'll try to find you guys something similar, because I know you guys like links down below so you don't have to kind of try to guess and hunt things down. I also have a cutting pad here. You will need a cutting pad. This is a must because we're going to be also using some of these, I don't know, what are these, like little box cutter kind of razor blades. I bought a 2-pack from Walmart. So, and honestly guys, this was like I think these were $2 or $3, not expensive at all. I'm also going to be using, and I'm just going to walk you over here. I'm going to be using a laminator because I am going to laminate the cover, the front and the back cover. So we're going to be using a laminator. This is an Amazon Basics. In fact, this was just on sale for 15 bucks. I paid 20 when I bought mine. Love this. I've been using this for 3.5 years as well. Still works like the day I bought it. It's fantastic. I'm also going to be using some laminating sheets. Sorry, these are all my teacher things. Just some laminating sheets. These actually have been working really well for me. So I'll leave a link to those down below. I like them because they're inexpensive and I go through a lot of them. And then of course over here, setting aside my Fun Friday stuff, the laminating machine, my TruBind machine, which I will also leave a link down below. I chose this one because not only does it have, and I think I've got to plug this in, it does have an automatic spiral inserter on the top, but what I loved about it is that it has the oval holes, which make the holes a little bit bigger, which make it a little easier to turn the pages. And also it has dies that you can actually customize your binding. So by pulling these out, you can actually customize them so that you don't get a hole that's like halfway off your page, or you know, like half cut off. You can really customize it to the paper that you're doing, which is really nice because I've already done one book that was oddly shaped. It wasn't like an 8x11 kind of book. It was a very narrow, thin, smaller book, and I was able to customize the size of the binding, so of the coils, if you will. So love this, love that feature. This is a game changer, and I wanted to make sure that if I was going to buy one, I was going to buy one that I could actually customize, because not everything I bind is going to be like an 8x11 size. So with that said, I'm going to take you back to the desk and let's tear a book apart. So hopefully you guys can see. Okay, so the first thing that we have to do with our book, and I'm going to use the little bit thicker, wider box cutter, if you call it, if you will, is we have to take the book apart. Okay, so what I do and what I find easiest is finding out what the center page is. Okay, so it's going to be about somewhere around page 80 or so, 82, something like that. All right, so what I do is I find the center of the book, press it flat as you can, and you don't have to be perfect, but you want to stay as close to the center as you're cutting as you possibly can. Okay, so I'm going to try to aim this so you guys can really see this. Okay, so you're going to start right at the top, and what I do is I spread it apart with my fingers and try to get as close to the center as I can. Now you don't have to push down super hard, but you do want to be very firm with this, and just take your time. Okay, now if you get to that and it's still a little sticky because these are glue bound, go ahead and just run your cutter a little bit more, and there you go, you've just cut the book in half. So what I do is I set the front of the book aside, and I continue to work from the back forward. So now I'm going to take about half of this. Okay, do pretty much the same thing. Try to lay it as flat as you can, spreading this as you go, taking your time. You don't have to rush. When I first started doing this, I was very slow. I'm kind of getting really good at it now. Okay, and then gently pull it apart, and then if you have to go ahead and cut it some more, go ahead and cut it some more. Okay, and there you go. So we're gonna set that part aside because that's, again, towards the beginning. It's gonna work towards the end. Okay, I'm gonna open that up in half again. press it flat. Okay. And there we go. Okay, so now I'm going to set that aside. And then when you get near the end, okay, I just kind of start playing with these pages here. And usually you can loosen it up enough to where we're going to kind of flip it over upside down. You can pretty much gently tear these pages out. Okay, so that's 119 and 120. Okay. Now, that one's stuck a little bit too much for my liking. Now, you can use a straight edge on this too, but I don't really see a need for that because we're going to trim the edge. I'm going to trim the edges on all of this just to make them nice and neat. So, I'm just going to trim some of that extra off of there. Separate that out. So don't worry if the pages look a little, you know, curved or irregular, because we're going to take care of that. And then you're left with the back cover. So with the back cover, we're also going to clean up that straight edge, but we're going to do that once we get it on the paper cutter. So don't worry about that right now. We're just going to go ahead and make sure that our pages are put back in order. 3, so there's 22, 21, 20, and 19. So there's the back of our book. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to move you just a little over, Miss Mina. Sorry, Mama's going to move you over. So I'm going to put the back of the book over here just so you guys can keep an eye on it. And then we're going to do this page. Now, sometimes you can go ahead and rip these out. Again, don't worry about if the edge is jaggedy because we're going to fix that. Try to keep that closed. I'm not using it. Now, if you can't rip yours apart easily, that's okay. Just keep cutting it in half. And in half again, and in half again until you can. And then anytime you get like a little part like that, just pull it off. But we're going to cut all this off anyway, so again, it's not going to be a big deal. Okay, so then we're going to take this. Now when you get back to another thick section of the book, again, I'm going to open it up. I'm going to cut it. Okay. Put the front section over. And then you can just test it, see if it comes apart. Oh, and it does. If you pull too much, if you feel like you're pulling too much, just open it up and cut it. I'm just going to keep pulling this apart and making sure that I keep it in order. Alright, so now, there we have it. Our book is all torn apart and all the pages are nice and loose. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take out the cover of it. So, here's the cover, there's the back. Really want to be conscientious about because you're going to be trimming your pages, but you still want your cover to fit and, you know, and not be too small, or you don't want your covers being smaller than your pages. So just kind of keep that in mind when you start trimming up. And every book, I've figured out every book is just a little different. So you kind of have to tailor it and customize it a little bit. So here's my paper trimmer. So I'm going to put this in, and I am going to trim off that part, because I'm going to be trimming off quite a bit, well, not a lot, but quite a bit off of those pages. And I can always extend the size of this with my laminating sheet. So I'm going to line that up. It's right on the line. And yes, this is what I do for fun. Because this is fun to me. So there's our cover. Alright, so there's our cover, and now we are going to do a back sheet. And this also has a line, so you just gotta look for it. Okay. Make sure it's the same size, and it's the same size. So now what I do is I go ahead and grab my laminating sheets. Put this right in here, line it up. And again, I have all of this just because I homeschool, so I use this stuff daily anyway for our homeschool. So, alright, make sure it's as even as possible, and then I'm just going to aim you up a little bit so you guys can see. Going to slowly and very evenly, because you don't want this getting caught up. You only get one shot at this, and you do not want it to wrinkle at all. So okay, and as that one goes through, we're going to go ahead and get the second one ready to go in. Alright, there we have it. And there's our cover. Alright, so we're going to set that aside for a minute. Let's put this one in. Nice and slow. Nice and even. I love the Amazon Basics laminator. It's amazing and it's inexpensive. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and trim up the sides. Okay, you want to make sure that when you trim this, you're not trimming too close, because you don't want to affect the laminating at all. Okay, so I always line it up on my silver line. Of course, you know, everybody does theirs a little different, and if you do this often, you'll have your own way. This is just how I do it. I'm going to get all that excess off. Okay, and then we have a nice laminated sheet. It has just a little lip on it, just a little lip, not too much. And then after I do that, I go ahead and I put it in the laminator one more time, just to make sure that it's nice and tight. And while that goes in, I will go ahead and trim this one up. Alright, so there we go. So that is done twice now. Nice and tight, no bubbles or anything like that. Nicely done. Okay, so we have our cover, and now we're going to do the back, and then we get to start trimming up a whole book. Nobody said this process was fast. It is time consuming, but to me it's worth it. So then, once you're all done with that, you've got your front and your back cover, which we're gonna set aside. I put the laminator back, shut it off. You don't need it anymore. And now we're gonna do the book. So I like to try to keep the book in order, so I'm gonna start it with the cover, and then we're gonna kind of work this way here. So what I do, sorry, Nina's gonna be playing. Now you're gonna have to decide where you want to cut your book. I don't want to cut too much off, but I do want to make a nice edge. So I don't want curled edges. I don't want rough edges. What I do is I measure it up to this first line, and if you guys have this Fiskars, it's this first little line right here, this little corner edge right here. That's where I line mine up. Now, if you need to cut it more than that, you certainly can. We're gonna try this. We'll see how this goes. And if I find that I need to cut more, I can go back and cut more. For now, that is what we're gonna do. You just want to make sure though that it's straight. Measure twice, cut once. And then we're gonna put it right over here and kind of keep the book in order and making sure that everything kind of lines up and is nice and even. I want to make sure too that the pages aren't bigger than my cover, and it's not. So I think it's gonna be good. So we're gonna aim it back over here. And I'm just going to show you a couple pages, and then I think you'll get the point. Okay. Get rid of that edge. Okay, so now I have all of my edges cut. I am just going to go ahead and... Now, I use binder clips. These are in the size a large. You could use extra large too, but these were the largest ones that Staples had in stock, and I didn't feel like waiting 2 days for Amazon Prime just for these. Before I grabbed these, I actually was using chip clips. So if you have a good set of chip clips, those will work too. You just want something to hold the pages together while you bind. So, so just have those ready. We're not going to use those just yet, but we want those out and ready. So what I do is I go around and I make sure everything is nice and tight as far as my book goes, okay? And then, just to make sure you guys don't fall. And then I'm going to put the cover on, the back on, and take a look at it. And make sure that I like the way it sits. It's at this time, if I find that the pages inside are like bigger than my cover or my back, or things aren't even, it's now that I'll fix it. Now that I have my book all ready to go, we're going to take it over to the binder, and we're going to start cutting our holes. So let me take you up to my desk. Alright, so now this is where I'm going to decide where I want my holes. And lining up my punches. This looks good to me. So once you get it to where it looks good, you're going to just take down this bar and you're going to make your first holes. And I'll show you up here. There's the first hole, and as you see, it did not go past the edge. And then the the last hole at the bottom also not go off the edge. So you want to make sure that you don't have any like half holes down here. Now sometimes it's not always going to be perfect, but once the spiral is in, it's gonna work out beautifully. So there is the cover. So now we're gonna move on to the pages, and what I wanted to show you is, here's one that is perfect on the top, but I want to show you, you see how it's a half punched hole at the bottom? This is what you want to try to avoid, okay? So there's an example of one that's, you know, cut wrong at the bottom. So that's where these adjustable dies come in handy. So this one is corrected. So there's the top and there's the bottom. All right. So once you get that lined up and sized the way you want it, then you can go ahead and take a stack. Make sure they're nice and tight on the end. Slide it through. And there's your punch. Top, bottom. And then we're going to start doing the book here. So I'll do a little stack at a time. I don't do 20. I might do 10 at the most. It's better to do just little batches at a time and not rush, because when you rush, that's when mistakes can happen. Just take your time. And that one we want to push one key in. And there we have it. So there's our back cover hole. And our back cover hole. Okay, so now I'm going to kind of spin you around and show you the book. All right, so now we have our book. What I'm going to do is I'm going to remove the front and the back cover, and I'm going to get this book as even and as tight as I can. I clip it. And I'm going to clip the end there. So I put 3 clips on there so it holds it nice and tight. Now I am going to use a spiral that's a little bit smaller. I will swing you over here. The binder machine, if I can aim you down, sorry about the shadow. If you see down here, they will tell you what size millimeter you should buy for how many pages you're going to bind. Now this book is, let me double check here, I think it's 124. Yeah, it's 124 pages. So 124 pages, I should technically be using a size 16. Unfortunately, I don't have a size 16. I have a size 13, I have a size 28, and I have a size 50. So I actually have, I'm going to order a size 8 and a size 16, so I have a little bit better of a kind of selection. So what I'm going to do is I'm gonna try, we're gonna attempt to fit it in a 13, which technically isn't supposed to hold more than 105 pages. So we will see how it goes. I can always take the coil out if I end up not liking it, and we can go bigger. I just think this is my 28. This is the next size that I have up. I just think that's gonna be a little too big. So I kind of think this is gonna work. So we're gonna try it. It's not too far off. So what I do now, after I clip the book, I keep, because I've tried it several different ways, because remember, I've kind of had to figure this out myself, which is why I'm making this video, in case somebody else is trying to figure it out too on their own. So I just find leaving the cover off, you know, not clipped together, is just a little easier. Okay, and sometimes you're going to notice that your cover has one extra hole. That's not a big deal. You'll find that that happens quite often, just because the covers are a little bit bigger because of the lamination. So, and in this case, I try to, and I just like the extra hole usually to be right on the bottom. Hopefully you guys can see that. All right, so I'm going to be binding. I'm going to be hand binding this. I can do my coil, but not everybody will buy a binder machine with the coil. So I'm going to do it by hand. So I'm going to show you guys how easy it is. Okay, so once I get my coil in there, okay, I'm just going to do the bottom hole. Now the rest of the book is going to be added to that second hole. So as we go through the second hole, I'm going to put it through the cover, and I'm going to take it and I'm going to put it through, and I know you guys can't see this. And the first hole is always the trickiest, and then we're going to put it through the bottom, and then we're going to come out, okay, and then we're going to twist, and then we're going to go ahead, and if you clip it well enough, you should be able to twist and keep twisting. See that? All right, let's see if I can get to there without knocking my camera over. All right, now it's a little bit harder for me. Now I do have arthritis in my hands, so if you have arthritis in your hands, keep that in mind. That's why I bought the auto inserter, just to make it easier on myself. I can usually make and bind 2 books a day. I can't do, physically I can't do any more than that. But I can do 2 a day. So there we go. So now you're just going to keep spiraling this, but I'm telling you, if you have everything cut right and you have it clipped tight with those binder clips, this coil should just coil right around for you. This is such a weird angle, but I just wanted to show you. This is how I do it. Hang your coil off of the side or the edge of a desk, and you'll be able to just kind of coil just like this. Do you see how fast that is? And if you have everything measured right and you have your clips in just the right spot, you should be able to coil your book this quickly, just off of the side of a desk. So I'm gonna keep going here. Sometimes you got to come down here and just kind of help this along to make it a little easier to fit in. But if everything is measured just right, this should be this easy for you. Almost. And there we go. So now we are at the end. All right. We're going to kind of make the ends even as we can. All right. And now I'm going to show you how we're going to clip that. Okay. So if you buy the coil machine that I did, it actually comes with the tool that you're going to need. Now this tool, it is a lot of practice, a lot of trial and error. This clips and it also curls. So you kind of just have to get the hang of it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to clip the ends, okay? And I usually leave like about 1/2 of a spiral at the bottom, and then you're going to use it and you're going to twist it up and in, and this takes some practice. Hopefully you guys can see that. And now I'm going to do this side, same thing. I'm going to clip it about halfway And then I'm going to take it and I'm going to curl that edge down and in. That. So it's kind of curled down and in. And again, it's just a lot of practice doing that. So after that, you should be able to go ahead and remove your clips, as my battery is blinking at me. And this is probably going to end up being another long video, and I'm so sorry, but I want to make sure I show you everything. Alright, so let me spin you around here. And there is our spiraled book. And even though the spiral is a little small, I think it'll work. And again, once I get a bigger size, if I want to re-spiral this, I can. The book. There it is. And I really hope that this this video helps somebody out there. And like I said, I will leave a link to my binder machine if you're interested. If you have any questions at all, leave them down below for me. I will try my best to answer it. Again, this video is not going to be for everybody, but this definitely has been a game changer for me. And not only am I using it for all of my canning books and my cooking books and my bread baking books and my dehydrating books, I am also using this in our homeschool room to make curriculum and to make memory books and journals and those sorts of things. So it's been wonderful. It's a great investment. It's already paid for itself. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video, and alright, I'll be seeing you guys soon for a canning video. I'm actually making ham stock as we speak. So alright guys, see you soon. Bye.